Genre is a fairly straightforward concept, right? It's a way of classifying a text based on its set expectations or conventions. So Star Wars and 2001 both have a space setting, there are spaceships, advanced technologies, so they clearly belong to the sci-fi genre. Zombieland and The Walking Dead both have zombies, themes of survival, a strong male lead, so they clearly are zombie films. Nice and simple. Well, the difficulty comes by the fact is that it isn't simply a case of following an itemized list of conventions. The audience would get sick of that in no time. Instead, genres evolve, they borrow, they adapt over time. So in other words, a sci-fi from 50 years ago
astounding technical developments are being made to protect mankind.
Will probably look nothing like a sci-fi from today.
I love you forever.
This is what Steve Neale said in his 1980s work on genre, who said that genres are instances of repetition and difference. So on the one hand, a text must conform to some generic conventions in order to belong in that category. Now, this gratifies the audience who might enjoy looking for familiarity in texts, but it also provides an element of safety to producers who want to guarantee a box office success. But Neale points out there must also be differences between texts to maintain the economy of the genre, meaning that if producers just churn out too many carbon clones of each other, the audience is going to lose interest very quickly in the genre. And so what you find is there's a fine balance between texts conforming to expected conventions, but also subverting from what we expect, creating enough difference that it feels new and it's always evolving and the audience will be interested. Let's look at an example of how a genre has evolved over time. Now in 2018, the superhero genre is as popular as ever despite being a very oversaturated market. This is largely thanks to the producer's ability to adapt the genre and evolve it so that it always feels new. So back in the early 2000s, when Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man broke box office records, the superhero genre could be defined by costume heroes overcoming similarly pantomime villains set against an overly dramatic backdrop and soundtrack. Colours were usually quite vibrant, and it was very much a film representation of the traditional comic book. Around about the same time, we also had X-Men, which similarly had people in silly costumes fighting against each other, but this time it was darker, grittier, and less comic book-like. There was a bit of difference there.
We are the future, not them.
Now, if we compare that to some of today's offerings, Justice League and Thor Ragnarok as examples, look at how many of the conventions endure, such as the costumes they wear, the deadly villain, typical narratives involving stopping a threat from either destroying the world or killing loads of people. There's no question that these films are just as much superhero movies as their early 2000 equivalents. But what we've seen since the success of Iron Man and then later Guardians of the Galaxy are some differences in the genre, so that now a contemporary superhero film is bound to feature an awful lot more comedy than before.
We know each other. He's a friend from work.
And it's going to have an awful lot of contemporary soundtracks than the epic scores that you found in the early 2000 films. So here we can actually see the evolution of a genre as a whole, where shared conventions are either conformed to or subverted from to keep them new. So there you go, that's genre theory in a nutshell. It's not a set thing, it's something which is constantly changing. As always, thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions or if there's anything you'd like me to cover in a bit more detail, just let me know down below in the comments. See you next time.